I think the White House Correspondents Dinner once upon a time, like 15 years ago, 20 years ago, was actually really fun, exclusive,
When you were rubbing
interesting.
arms with George Clooney or whoever.
I never did that, but
But
there was
but
a
he
time.
was there, wasn't he?
I think so. Like the people, I'm like the biggest. I'm trying to think. There's one time when like Perez Hilton and Heidi and Spencer and I were hanging out together, and there's a picture floating out on the internet, and that was like the best thing ever when I was 23 years old. But there was a time when it was like fun and collegial, and it
Mm,
was like both sides were coming together, and the comedians were we're hitting at the target no matter who was in power, left or right. I've been really like, I know this sounds intense, but I've been really grossed out by some of the things that the comedian Amber Ruffin was saying. She was the comedian that was chosen to perform at the event. It was actually announced yesterday that she will no longer perform at the annual White House Correspondents' Dinner. And this follows some comments that she made on the Daily Beast podcast. I want to play this right now for everyone so you can make
sure.
your own decision. Number 4.
Kind of a bunch of murderers. I mean, so like they were like, you need to be, equal and make sure that that you give it to both sides and blah blah blah. I was like, there's no way I'm gonna be freaking doing that, dude. Under no circumstance. And they want that false equivalency that the media does. They want that. It feels great. It makes them feel like human beings. But they
Yes.
shouldn't get to feel that way because they're not.
Some people are more culpable than others.
That's right.
And they get more jokes made about them, and the jokes are meaner because they're doing things that are worse.
Yeah, and a reminder that Samantha Bee's show got canceled for a reason because the ratings were garbage and she was such a horrible person, as was her head writer, who you can Google the things she did to me back in the day during COVID, but that's not the point of this. I think what Amber Ruffin said is just ridiculous. I've worked with comedians. I can laugh at myself. This is not about me like being like, oh, I'm so precious. You can't make fun of Trump. It's more that like, why invite someone into your house who's going to be so disgusting to all Republicans? Are we at the point where we should just like burn the White House Correspondents' Dinner to the ground? Like, what's the point of this thing anymore?
The thing is, there could be a lot of really good comics that would be very funny at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. It's not like there are no Democrats worth making fun of. I mean, Nancy Pelosi's teeth no longer fit in her mouth, and we can't talk. Like, there are things to sit there and joke about Republicans too, and Democrats. I mean, there just are so many things to work with. And everyone's having this conversation. And the thing is, if you could laugh at yourself, it becomes okay to laugh at somebody else. Like once it becomes self-deprecating, and that was like the genius of like a Joan Rivers comic or a Don Rickles comic, is like we're all in this together. I'm making fun of me, like I'm making fun of you, and we're all laughing because when you can laugh at somebody in not a mean way, but in a regular way, you can understand them better. And no, people don't become scary anymore once they have the common bond of humor. And back, I mean, 15 years ago, but it was a very common thing 40, 50 years ago for like Barry Goldwater or Ronald Reagan to be at like the Dean Martin roast. Like it was a very normal, common thing to sit there and include everybody and everyone having a good time. There are a million funny comics who do the show on the roads in places like Iowa and Missouri and Arizona who speak to Republican audiences all the time, who don't sit there and work to offend them because they need them to come to their shows. You don't have to go for somebody who just had a Netflix special once. I could literally give you 10 comics, probably off the top of my head, who would be funny and who would be good with everybody and make fun of everybody and make everyone feel welcomed. You don't have to sit there and be like, they're all murderers. Give me a freaking break. I mean, like, seriously, give me a freaking break. If you're talking to Samantha Bee as like a authority on humor who was never really that funny, probably you're the wrong person and you probably should be speaking at Kamala rallies.
Also, like your side is losing. And by your
Right.
side, I mean like the woke, not funny, like all the stuff that we all had to suffer through for so long. Like you are not in power anymore.
Right.
He is. Trump is. And that doesn't mean you can't make fun of him, but you don't get to call me and people like me murderers because you don't like Republicans. And the question, I know we have a question coming from the audience 1 minute. We'll get there. I promise 1 second. But I want to say this. So Eugene Daniels, who used to work at Politico, who is now, I think, becoming a host at MSNBC, who is ostensibly a propagandist for Biden and Vice President Harris when they were in power. He is the president, I believe, of the White House Correspondents Dinner Association. He had said publicly that like he was so excited to have Amber Ruffin come and do this. Like she was his choice, whatever. why are few people like Eugene Daniels getting to destroy a dinner that, by the way, those of us who do this for a living and cover this every single day, it would be nice if we could have a dinner to celebrate the fact that we somehow have all lost our minds and chosen this as a profession for as long as we have. But I don't understand why everything just has to be destroyed because a bunch of woke jerks in the media can't control themselves and understand what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
And also, they could be making fun of people in the media as well. I mean, because there
Yes.
are people in the media who take themselves way too seriously. It'd be so great if, like, a host sat there and went to the CNN crowds and say, "I'm so happy." You probably love having an audience for the first time. Like, they could be sitting there and
You do
really
it.
do, yeah,
You host.
they could really be doing a lot, and it would make everyone. And at a time when people really want some kind of detoxification in politics, humor is the best way to do it, and everyone would enjoy it, and everyone would like it if they just all relax. But I mean, it's like the last circle. It's like the movie. It's like the movie Civil War, where the last place left is just like DC, and the rest of the country is kind of changed, and they're kind of like holding out. And it's these pockets, and it's very unfortunate because this is an institution that should survive. People who care about so much of institutions, surviving these institutions from Trump, you should protect your own institutions and actually have a good comic there.
I totally agree. It makes me sad that this has turned into what it has turned into. Is there any saving this dinner? I am not invited because I don't work in corporate media, but I am not going. I did get invited to some parties already, which I don't think I'm going to go to any. There's one for Substack. Sorry to out them if I wasn't supposed to out that they have a party, but I might go that one just because I work with Substack. But sorry, you guys, they're having a party. Whatever, you're coming with me, Ryan. But what do you think happens? Like, what happens to this dinner? Is it just I don't
Well,
know.
if they have a good comic, I think that, like, if they had a really good comic, I think that they could survive this. I really do think that they could have a great comic. They could pick road comics and who are funny to everybody. And as long as they know the assignment and they're okay with the assignment, and there are comics who do corporate bookings where you got to make
Yeah.
jokes about the Jiffy Lube people, like, things that they don't necessarily love to do, or it's not their normal bit. But how great is it for you to be in those circles to get more material if you do the assignment correctly, where everyone likes you, to go have a special where you make fun of being at the thing? You know what I mean? Like, there is something to do there if you could do it right. It's a big opportunity, and this girl clearly doesn't care. I mean, there's something called, what was it called? Clapter, where the
Yes.
audience will care more about clapping than laughing.
Yeah.
Clapter is not really great.
Jim Gaffigan hosted the Al Smith dinner, and I thought he was like pitch perfect. And that was
Yeah.
when I don't think Vice President Harris went, but Trump was in the room, and he was very funny towards everybody. I think someone like him would have been a better choice.